Hi there. Welcome to this week's Stalking the Wild Autoharp. And today we're going to talk about sevenths. We're going to talk about dominant sevenths, major sevenths, and minor sevenths. There's other kind of sevenths too, like diminished sevenths and half diminished sevenths. But we're not going to really get into those in this video. That's for another video that might not be part of this series. After all, this is already part 5 of a series of videos for the Autoharpist on music theory. So we're going to start with dominant sevenths, what we call C7 or G7, and those are on just about every Autoharp out there. And so we're going to start with those, and then I'm going to show you major sevenths and minor sevenths too, because you might get into those on diatonic harps or on specialty harps, and I know I've got them on my harps and I love using them. But the dominant seventh, as you know, there is a chord for every degree in the scale. For example, in the C major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, there's a chord that's built on the root of each note in the scale. Here's the C major, the D minor, the E minor, the F major, the G major, the A minor, the B diminished, and the C again. Alright? Or the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th chords. Alright? And the dominant seventh, these also have the names, remember, from the earlier video. We've got the tonic, the supertonic, the median, the subdominant, the dominant, the relative minor, or the submediant, the leading chord or leading tone, and the tonic again. Alright? So if this is tonic, and this is the subdominant and the dominant, alright? A seventh chord, each of these chords is built on a triad, or 3 notes, that are basically every other note. C, E, G. Every other note is used. So a seventh just adds another note to the stack of notes, adding a note that is 7 up from the root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, the one that's built on the 1 chord, or the tonic chord, in this case C7, is a major chord and a major seventh. Alright? You don't have major sevenths on most Autoharps. The sevenths that you have are the ones that are built on the dominant. On the 5th, which is a major triad, the G major chord, and a minor seventh. You see, if this is a major seventh, it would be here. There's the 8th, the 7th, and the minor 7th, making it a little smaller. And that's the only place in the natural scale where you get a major triad with a minor 7th. The rest of these, here's a major triad with a major 7th. Here's a minor triad with a minor 7th. Again, a minor triad with a minor 7th. This one's another major 7th because it's a major triad and a major 7th. But when we get to the 5th chord, the 5 chord, the dominant chord, and add a 7th on top of it, it's a minor 7th. So you get a major triad with a minor 7th. And that's called the dominant 7th. Now you can make a 7th chord or a dominant 7th chord on any scale degree, but you have to use a black note to do it. For example, here's the C dominant 7th form. like that. That's a minor seventh there, from C to B flat. And so you can do that anywhere, but you have to use a black note to do it. Here, in order to make this be a dominant seventh, you have to move the median up a half step, so you get a major triad and a minor seventh. Okay, that's the one we call the 2-7 chord. So that's the dominant seventh. And the dominant seventh always wants to resolve to the 1. 5-7, 1. 5-7, 1. And so it implies what the 1 is going to be. So if you have a C chord that's a C major 7, it's going to want to go, implying that this dominant seventh is the 5 of F. If you have this dominant seventh, we already talked about it, D7, it's going to want to resolve and go, implying that the D7 is the 5-7 of G, which it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know I'm going fast. This is what dominant sevenths do, and this is why they are on your Autoharp. They act as the 7th chord of the 5th key of C. Alright, now what about major sevenths? Major sevenths you don't usually have on an Autoharp unless it's a specialty harp, but they do appear quite a bit. That's what you get here in the scale. It's a major triad with a major seventh. And they would happen here too. Notice that it's every other note. Alright, so it's a major seventh instead of a minor seventh. Again, if it was the minor seventh with a major triad, that would be a 5-7 chord again. And it's built on F, F being the 5 of B flat. But it's not, it's a major seventh. It's sort of a jazzy chord. That's the major seventh. The minor seventh takes a minor chord and a minor seventh on top of it. Again, 7 up from the root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the thing that makes it minor is that here's the 8th, or the octave. There's the major seventh, and then you make it smaller. And that makes it minor. Okay, so minor sevenths are also a very jazzy sound. And they happen on the 2nd. Here's the 1st chord. Here's the 2nd chord. So that happens there. It also happens on the 3rd. On the E. And it happens on the 6th. And that's the minor seventh. So you've got the dominant seventh, you've got the major seventh, oh, there's a major seventh, and you've got minor sevenths. And when we get back over to my Autoharp, I'll show them to you on the Autoharp. and what they can be used for, because they can be used in all sorts of interesting places to really spice up the colors of your chords. So there you go. There's a basic introduction to seventh chords, why they're called seventh chords, what the difference is between a dominant seventh, a major seventh, and a minor seventh. And where they might be used. So we'll go on. This all comes in on diatonic autoharps, on my Prism Autoharp, in blues, in jazz, in contemporary music, quite a bit. So once you break out of folk music and into stuff that's more modern, then you get into these seventh chords. And there's ninth chords, which adds yet another chord, another note on top. And there's 11th chords, and there's 13ths also, which you don't get into until you get into jazz, and we're not even going to go there, because this is theory for autoharpists and what you might come across in your autoharp playing one day. And 13ths don't really come up, okay? 11ths don't really come up. My Prism Autoharp, which I think is the coolest autoharp since sliced bread, has ninth chords on it. And I will show you those in a different video when we get into talking about Prism Autoharps. So there you go. Thanks for your patience. This has been Stalking the Wild Autoharp. I have a website where I explain how you can get online lessons from me face-to-face. And you can go there. That's halweeks.com. Make sure you subscribe to this video series so that you get all the updates. In a few weeks, I'll be going back over to Autoharp and talking about Autoharp techniques again. And look into those if you haven't seen any of those. There's already about 24 of them or so on here teaching Autoharp techniques for you to learn by and learn with. And thanks again for your patience through this Stalking the Wild Autoharp Music Theory for Autoharpists series. And we now return you to your regularly scheduled program. Thanks. Bye-bye.